Hello, class. Today's lecture will begin with an overview of the Earth's crust before going into discussing minerals. Some of what you will learn in this class is how Earth is structured both physically and chemically. On the left, we see the Earth's layers organized by density, from the dense inner core to the lighter crust. Minerals separate based on their density, which is why heavier elements sink and lighter ones rise. On the right, the pie chart shows the chemical makeup of the whole Earth versus just the crust. The whole Earth is mostly iron and oxygen, while the crust is dominated by lighter elements like oxygen, silicon, and aluminum. This reflects how Earth naturally sorted itself during its formation. The most abundant elements are silicon and oxygen, which together make up nearly 3/4 of the crust. These elements are key ingredients in many rock-forming minerals, and this distribution helps explain why most rocks we see are silicate-based. Examples of silicates are feldspar and quartz. These minerals form rocks like granite, sandstone, and gneiss. Earth's crust has layers with different densities. Continental crust is less dense than oceanic crust, and deeper layers like the mantle and core are even denser. Mafic minerals are dark and dense, like those in the oceanic crust. Felsic minerals are light and less dense, like those in continental crust. At subduction zones, the denser mafic crust sinks beneath the lighter felsic crust. Now we will get into what a mineral is. You might think of shiny crystals or colorful rocks, but scientifically, a mineral has a specific definition. First, minerals must be naturally occurring. This means no lab-grown diamonds or synthetic materials. Second, minerals are inorganic, meaning they've never been alive. Third, every mineral has a defined chemical composition. Think of it like a recipe that never changes. For example, when you combine sodium, calcium, aluminum, silicon, and oxygen, you get feldspar. Fourth, minerals are solid. Olivine is a solid mineral that, when polished, becomes the gemstone peridot. The final requirement is that to be a mineral, it must have a crystalline structure. Here's a quick example of what a solid crystalline structure looks like compared to the structure of glass, another solid. Minerals are everywhere, in your phone, under your feet, and in the gems that we admire. They are the foundation of Earth science, and today we will uncover why they matter so much. So to recount, minerals are naturally occurring, usually inorganic, crystalline solids with characteristic chemical compositions and have distinctive physical properties. But how are they formed? They can be formed through a few different processes, such as magma, precipitation from solutions, living cells, and recrystallization of a previous material like wood. Now, pay close attention to this. Rocks and minerals are not the same thing. A rock is an aggregate, meaning it is made up of one or more minerals. While there are over 4,000 minerals, only 50 are considered to be common. So how do we classify them? There are various ways, one being classifying native elements, which are minerals comprised of just one element like gold or silver. Some minerals can be polymorphs, which is any mineral that has the same chemical formula but a different atomic structure, such as granite and diamond. When the mineral is made of more than one element, we classify them by the element they contain the most of. Oxide minerals are when oxygen combines with one or more metals other than silicon, such as hematite and corundum. Hydroxide minerals, which contain hydrogen and oxygen as either OH negative or H2O, for example, goethite. Sulfide minerals contain sulfur in the form of sulfide ions, bonded to a metal like pyrite or galena. Sulfate minerals contain sulfate ions with gypsum in barytite. Gypsum is special, though, as it is a hydrous mineral, meaning it contains water in the chemical formula. Carbonate minerals contain carbonate ions like calcite and aragonite, while halide minerals contain elements belonging to halogen groups like halylite and fluorite. Finally, we have phosphate minerals, which contain phosphate ions like apatite. The elements that make up a mineral's composition and their structure have a large impact on the physical properties of the mineral. Remember, mafic minerals are darker and have a larger concentration of iron and magnesium, whereas felsic minerals are lighter and are more rich in silicon. Now, some ways to identify minerals are by looking at its crystal habits, color, streak, luster, hardness, cleavage, fracture, and special properties such as smell, taste, effervescence, fluorescence, magnetism, and others. The first method we will be going over is crystal habit, which is how atoms or groups of atoms bond together in a pattern as the crystal grows under specific environmental conditions. Remember that all minerals form a crystalline atomic structure. Next is color. While it may be interesting and fun to try to classify something by its color, it is not a reliable method. Different minerals may be the same color, like tourmaline in rose quartz, and the same mineral can be found in different colors, like fluorite. Third, we have streak, which is the color of a mineral when it is powdered. No matter what the color of the mineral appears to be when it is solid, the streak color will always remain the same. Therefore, keep in mind that when asked to identify the streak, you only need to describe the streak color on the plate, not the actual mineral. Fourth is the luster of a mineral, which is how light is reflected from the surface of the mineral. Luster can be metallic, submetallic, or non-metallic. If a mineral is transparent or translucent, then it is non-metallic. Other ways to help describe the luster of a non-metallic mineral include stuff like silky, pearly, earthy, waxy, satin, greasy, and others. Fifth, we have hardness. Hardness is a qualitative scale that ranks minerals from 1 to 10 based on their scratch resistance. The most hardness scale image gives you examples of what common objects can scratch what mineral. Sixth, we have cleavage, or the tendency of minerals to break along flat parallel surfaces. Fracture is different from cleavage. When a mineral fractures, it breaks with no neat edges or smooth parallel surfaces. Finally, we have some minerals that have special properties. Special properties include taste, smell, effervescence, which means does it fizz with diluted hydrochloric acid. Some could be magnetic, and some have special density and specific gravity. During today's lab, you'll use identification sheets to help you figure out which minerals you're working with. We'll walk through how to use each sheet, so pay close attention to what each question is asking you to observe and record. In general, you will be asked to compare and contrast samples based on visual observation. To identify an unknown mineral, first decide if it's metallic, submetallic, or non-metallic. If you think it's metallic or submetallic, you will then need to observe the hardness, check for cleavage, determine its streak color, take note of any special properties like magnetism or if it has a reaction to acid, then use all these traits to name the mineral. For light-colored, non-metallic minerals, you will observe the hardness, check for cleavage, and take note of any special properties. Then, use those traits to identify the mineral. Dark to medium-colored non-metallic minerals will follow the same procedures as the light-colored non-metallics. If you are stuck, go back through the lecture or the lab slides before reaching out. Good luck.